Hey guys, this is Jess from the Mary Jane Brain. I'm here with my business partner, or one of my business partners, because we actually have a new one. Her name is actually Jessica as well, but I go by Jess and she goes by Jessica. But here with me is Tempest.
Hi, I'm Tempest Beachy.
Today's podcast is going to be about trauma. So, there are different types of trauma, of course. There's mental, emotional, physical. We're going to kind of touch on a little bit of all of them, but mostly the emotional, mental trauma.
I don't know. I just really want people to also understand that we're not trying to be like a typical regurgitate a bunch of information at you about like things that you can like look up. You know, like trauma is a real thing. We know that we're going to give you the definition and it's a lot more than that. So I don't want you to like think like, okay, they're just boiling it down to a few words. They don't understand crap. Well, we do. Believe us, we do. So Jess, I think she has the definition, right?
Yeah, so our knowledge that we're basing our knowledge off of is our experiences or others' experiences that we're close to. So the definition of trauma is a deeply distressing or disturbing experience. Or the medicinal way is a physical injury.
So obviously this can be like a wide range of things. And it also kind of something to preface with, I guess, is trauma does widely depend on the person. Everybody has a certain scale, and Jess and I talk about this a lot. Everybody's scale is different based off the experiences they have in their life. So somebody might experience their parents getting divorced, and that's a... Sorry if you hear my dogs in the background, guys, by the way.
But my dog's back there, too.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. But, what was I going with this? Dogs are distracting me now. The scale. Basically, yes. With the parents divorcing, and that could be a 10 for somebody, but for, like, even Jess and I, like, that, like, it's... I don't even think your parents were even married, right?
Oh, no, yeah, they were married. They were married for 15 years.
Yeah, and then they...
And I packed my dad a lunch and, like, helped him pack his stuff. Like, whenever he was leaving us, like, I was like, here you go. Gosh. Like, I thought it would make our life better. So, honestly, that was not traumatizing to me. It was, like, what came after what was traumatizing to me.
So, like, the divorce to us wasn't... It was probably, like, a... Well, at least for her. Yeah. The divorce for me was really traumatizing.
It was traumatizing once it started actually happening. But, like, at the time, I was like, oh, it's fine. It's all fine. But, no, what came after really sucked.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that part. I think the main thing, it wasn't even, like, the divorce as much as just my mom not being there, you know? Like, I guess, like, who knows? Like, I don't know if... I'm sure there's situations out there where the mom's not there and they're married, you know, mom and dad are married. So it's just, I'm sorry if you're dealing with that, you know, ahead of time. If you're dealing with a mom or dad not there, that gave me PTSD, guys. Like, I was 4 years old having night terrors, so I get it. So, kind of leading into more of the kind of... So everybody has trauma, right? Like, what is the moment that gets you out of the spiral of thoughts that like basically say you're a piece of shit, don't do anything, you know? Like, that's what do you think on that?
I mean, that's just like whenever you realize that you survived, kind of like you're like, oh wow, I actually made it, and I'm gonna make it, and I'm gonna be okay. I feel like that's kind of like the moment. But like touching on what you were saying earlier about PTSD, I feel like that's a important thing we should talk about. PTSD can be caused by like so many different experiences in your life, like yours was with your mom leaving. Mine was with my parents yelling. Like, I just remember, ever since I can remember, honestly, they would just scream at each other, and I'd be like 3 years old in my tiny little bed, and they'd call us out in the hallway and scream at each other and like, look what your mom wants to do, or look what your dad did, like play the point finger game, like, you know, the parent is worse than the other. Like,
oh, yeah.
You know, and like, it was so normal to me, though, at the time, but later on is whenever I actually started getting the issues. Like, I have heart issues because of it. Like, I actually, like, besides the panic attacks, like, I do have, like, an actual, you know, heart problem, but the panic attacks cause it to, you know, be a lot worse for my heart. So, yeah, I can't stand yelling because PTSD, I'll just curl up and be in a little fetal position. So, trauma can happen in all kinds of ways. So, be careful with how you talk around your child.
Yeah, that's a major thing.
Yeah, like, don't drag your child into your argument with your significant other. It is not their business, and it is not their place to be involved. Let them be a child.
They have no idea what you're freaking talking about.
They will have issues later,
yeah,
believe me.
Very much so. It's pretty much inevitable, but oh my gosh. Yeah, so I guess getting out of PTSD. Sorry, yeah. No, I mean, like, honestly, that segues in what I want to kind of say too, is like getting it out of like PTSD. And basically, something my therapist said is like 98% of mental illnesses are caused by past trauma or experiences, you know, like that you've had throughout, like, and that you'll get, like, it doesn't matter. You're always going to be accumulating those, I guess, possible bad times. Like, you know, like, you can have PTSD a year from now. You don't know, so don't assume that you're set just because you're so gone. I know, I see those people all the time, like, that doesn't happen to me.
It's a delayed effect. You know, effect. Like, it took a while.
Of course.
It catches up.
It definitely catches up. But, yeah, so kind of getting past those times are not easy. And we want to basically kind of hit on how to a little bit. I mean, we can go into a whole podcast about how to try to get over trauma. That's like, yeah, that's a whole podcast. But what we can say now, I guess, is what is so like my moment for getting over, like, just realizing I'm done is, like, I was like sleeping 18-hour days. I knew that I wasn't doing anything with my life. I was just going job to job. And I mean, the job opportunity, that was one lucky thing in my life I've always had. Like, I've always had very good opportunities. That's not the problem. It's like me actually being happy with those opportunities.
Right. Satisfied.
Yeah. Fulfilled. And so at one point I was like without a job for a few months and I was just miserable. And then finally, like, something went in my head where I'm like, why, like, I'm wasting my potential. Like, what is good? Like, why is my mind, like, holding me back? You know, like, because literally that was the only thing. I had so many brilliant things that I wanted to do, but I couldn't because it was just, you're a piece of shit. You can't amount to anything. Life isn't worth it. Anything. Like, it was so much bullshit.
You can be your worst enemy. Like, usually you are the one that's holding yourself back.
Yeah. Definitely are. So, go ahead.
So speaking about that, so you could take, so yeah, mine was my time, I guess, was kind of like whenever I left my crazy ex of like 8.5 years, you know, like, he always made me feel like, I mean, not that I didn't have self-esteem issues, but he just fed into it, making me feel like I was worthless and I would fail at life without him. And so I would just, I would do that. Like, honestly, I would get fired from jobs because I would, like, be so depressed. I wouldn't go into work and I was sleeping or I would make myself sick because I was so depressed. So I'd have, like, horrible headaches and stuff like that. I have fibromyalgia, so anytime I sleep in more, it actually makes my body worse. The more active I am, the better I feel.
Yeah.
So I wasn't being active at all with being with him. I just, like, wanted to sleep and lay in bed. And so it was pathetic. And then whenever I finally fucking realized, which is actually thanks to one of my friends that's no longer with us. Thanks to her, she actually helped me realize that he's a piece of shit and I was not. And that, like, changed my life. Like, I don't know, I became active and, like, my mindset completely changed once, like, I just got out of a bad situation. Because, you know, if you just keep on putting yourself into those situations,
it's not going to get you anywhere.
I mean, and honestly, you choose to do those things. You don't do it on purpose. Subconsciously, you choose to do it because that's what you're used to. Yep. I'm used to abuse, so I went into an abusive relationship. And fuck that now. I'm not doing that shit anymore, but that's how I was then. But the point is, you want to take the trauma that you've had in your past and use it as a driving force for your present and future to get better.
It can be a very big way to have, like, you've heard of it probably, like street smarts type of thing, like where you get things a lot easier than people. Like in Ecuador, when I was seeing everybody's like facial expressions, like I was really good at picking out what people
were thinking.
Yeah, I didn't know any Spanish. I just like, that's what he's thinking, let's go. Like, or whatever. And sometimes people were like looking at me like, how, you know, like, and it's just because like I got it. Like I'm horrible at language, but I got the expression, you know.
We are people observers.
Yes.
We understand them because we've been traumatized by too many of them, so we're like, what is your angle?
Yeah, exactly. So you get a lot of intuition, and that's pretty.
Intuition is pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, because I think a big thing with intuition that a lot of people don't realize is how much intuition is connected with your subconscious. Like, it's like you have so many thoughts in your brain, and you only like really process like less than 1% of them. And so like,
don't listen to that guy, but he's important.
So like, you have this inner intuition, and it's all that subconscious crap that you have in the back of your mind that has like these like lists of things that say, oh, that person had this smile and this look and this like this everything.
They're taking notes basically.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, okay, so he just twinged right there. All right, and he's smirking for some reason. He's doing something weird with his hands. Yeah. So
it keeps unloading. Like it does all of it in your brain, and
you might not notice it, but then it starts. Yeah, that little twinge. You're like, wait. Someone's trying to tell me something, I think.
Yeah. And you don't even, like, think about it, because a lot of people don't even believe in themselves enough to think about it.
Listen to themselves, exactly. And they're like, oh, I'm probably just being paranoid. No. You're not. Okay, whatever.
Listen to that heart voice.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the best advice the teacher's ever given me is like, usually your first response or your first answer is the best answer, you know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like with your body and your intuition. Once it's telling you something, that's probably the best and most accurate answer, is telling you something. It's basically screaming at you, but you just can't hear it because it's way in the back.
Yeah, definitely. You're really right. And I mean, honestly, that sums it up.
Yeah.
But
experience brings knowledge and intuition.
Yeah, and it basically, with a lot of this, we're trying to get. Sorry, we're looking at our notes, guys. We're still newer at the podcast, so please be in mind. But basically, we're going from intuition to, we want to get people to understand that we really aren't trying to, what's the word I'm looking for, like, diminish your trauma, like, or whatever. That's not the proper word, but like
downplay.
Yeah,
we're not trying to say like because you didn't have to go through like yelling or physical abuse that your trauma isn't valid.
Yeah, it's just different trauma.
Just different. Everybody's experience and perspective is
very different.
Very different and important to go, to understand.
But a big thing that a lot of people don't realize is how much trauma is majorly inevitable. It doesn't matter who you are. It does. Everybody, every single person, even if your trauma is really like in a different realm of like the weirdest thing that I could never imagine, like you lost your butterflies. I don't know. But everybody has their own trauma.
Right. I mean, you could have had a poor little pet butterfly that you put in a jar and you didn't realize that, you had to poke holes in it. And it died. And it made you really sad. That could happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, everybody is totally different. So also one of the things that I want to say is like nobody obviously wants trauma because, we were talking about the good points about trauma, how you gain knowledge and intuition, which is fantastic, but obviously you don't want trauma just to get the intuition, but it is a positive. So since trauma is inevitable,
just try
but it makes you unique.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect one, actually. Like, try to look at, even though trauma is not wanted, it is inevitable. So since you have to deal with it, you might as well take what you can and, like, make yourself into a unique person. Right. Like, make yourself into a better person. Right. Grow because of it, you know? Like, there's so many... I swear I never, ever, ever, ever thought that I would be in this position right now. Like, I never thought that I would be telling the world my trauma when I was dealing with my trauma. Like, there's no way in hell that I was thinking, yeah.
Keep it to myself forever.
I know, like... But no, it needs to be shared. People need to hear it. It's not something, like, even if it's something crazily kind of, like, makes you uncomfortable.
Right, cringe a little bit,
I have so much of that, guys.
Yeah.
You don't...
But it should be discussed. We shouldn't have to hide it and be ashamed of it. It happened. It's normal. There are horrible things happening out in the world, and people need to discuss it.
Yeah.
So there is one thing I do want to discuss before we get off.
Okay.
Which is, like, a personal story. Well, not my personal story, but it's my cousin's personal story. So this is just kind of like touching on what we were talking about earlier on how much the brain can handle. So you can only handle so much trauma. Unfortunately, your brain just will start blocking it out, what happened to you, which has happened to me, and it's happened to you. But some people just don't come back from it. So that's kind of like what happened to my cousin. So my cousin is a twin, and there's they weren't, what's the word? They're not identical. They're fraternal. Yeah, there we go. So boy and girl. She was actually smarter, in my opinion. Sorry, other cousin. If you're listening.
Yeah, pretty much.
But at the time, she was smarter. She was, at least she learned faster. We'll say that. She was a quick learner. She was talking more. She was about a year, I would want to say. So she was saying, like, Mom, feed me, bottle, stuff like that. No big words, obviously, but, she was... she had pretty good hand-eye coordination, too, so that was pretty impressive, I thought. Well, one day, because my aunt and my cousins came to live with us, because my aunt and her husband were splitting up, weren't getting along. I don't know if he was abusive, but I know he was verbally abusive, for sure. So she came in and lived with us, and we started noticing that my cousin, Natalie, that's her name, I don't think it matters, because she can't, unfortunately, listen to this to understand. But she started acting different. She wasn't responding to us. She started, her eyes, like, she wouldn't, like, make eye contact ever with you. And it's like she couldn't really focus or something. They were just kind of, like, everywhere. And so at first, they were like, well, maybe she's deaf for some reason. We don't know why. I mean, she was fine, but maybe she lost her hearing, because sometimes it happens. Weird shit happens. So they went and took her to the doctor. They put their tubes in her ears. She acted really weird at the doctor's, and then we started realizing every time a male came around, she would just scream bloody murder and claw at people. Until, she got away from them. Except for my grandpa. She loves my grandpa. She never, ever did that with him. Ever. Well, that's when we realized that she wasn't deaf. That actually her piece of shit father raped her. And it traumatized her so much that the poor baby is now autistic. She can't talk at all. Not at all. Like, she doesn't really understand you. She's not the special kind of autistic that, can play piano after listening to one song. Unfortunately, she is just immobile. I mean, she can walk, but she is a mess. Like, she has to live at a home. She pulls out her hair. She eats rocks. She strips. She just is not ever able to live by herself.
Yeah, and that happens with, like, a lot of people. Like, this is
definitely not just the
yeah.
one little special case.
I mean, like, this is a very extreme case, I will say that, but, like, there's anxiety, there's depression, there's so many mental illnesses that there is something that caused
war.
That. Yeah.
People do the same thing. They won't be able to talk afterwards. I mean, it happens. Your brain can only handle so much, and unfortunately, she was so young that was just so traumatizing. She just couldn't handle it, and other people usually have a little bit further of a breaking point because they have more experience of living, so they can kind of handle more.
It,
but unfortunately, for being so young,
I don't even know how did you even? I guess sorry, that's detail. I don't have to get into that.
She had to go to the doctor for other things.
Yeah, I bet. Anyway, but ending on very sad note, we are
so sorry about that.
We definitely just want you guys to know that. Honestly, the main reason that we're doing this, that we're getting through our trauma, is because of the fact that we had those years behind us. Like, we had a lot of shit to deal with, but, like, we had we had a little bit of life that our brain, like, wasn't overloaded somehow.
Able to cope more.
Yeah. So,
we believe that you are able to cope more as well.
If you're listening to this, you definitely are.
Yes, exactly. And we believe in you, and you will get past it.
Yes.
And you'll look back at it and realize, like, this was shitty, but I fucking am a badass. I lived past this, and I'm going to use this knowledge to go forward and be a better person.
Yes, and that's pretty much it. Just make sure that you know that if you have negativity in your life, you're not going to get anywhere. It's just going to hold you back. You're going to wonder why you're not progressing. So
bring more negative events in your life.
And that's the biggie. People think like, oh, it's just me being all positive and, and it's all me. And you got to make sure you're surrounded by good things too, So,
and you got to make sure the self-talk is like one of the most important things. You have to make sure you are a cheerleader and not an enemy in your brain.
Yeah, well, that's very hard, so I understand.
It's a work in progress, and you have to usually try every day.
Yeah, like, even if it's something like looking in a mirror and saying I love you and still crying because you don't believe it, say it anyway, because...
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah. So, we're going to end it here, guys, but we're probably going to go ahead and hit on something related to... cannabis next podcast. I really want to maybe get into CBD. We're going to be letting out a free ebook here probably in the next 7 to 10 days. I don't exactly know, but whenever
by July.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be doing that, and so be looking out for that if you're watching all of this. We're so bad at this, and I can't wait until we get better, and then this will be like nothing.
One of these days our podcast will be kick-ass, and you'll enjoy listening to them.
Yeah.
But until then, please keep believing in us.
Yes, I agree. And
Thanks for the support.
I guess we're not too terribly bad. We could be, like, worse, I guess. But anyway, bye, guys.